Welcome to Native Calgarian and Mossy for listening. I'm your host, Michelle Robinson, speaking to you in Mohkinstsis in the Blackfoot Confederacy, home of the Niitsitapi, Tsuut'ina Dene, and the Yiharhi Nakota. I talk about history, current news, unheard news, book clubs, with special guests to give local or national issues a voice through an urban Saulteaux Dene lens. My life's work will be to honor the voices of my ancestors and next generation with humor, love, and truth. Reconciliation is work, not performance. May we honor all Indigenous voices with that courage. Today is September 9th, 2025. Welcome to Native Calgarian. If you enjoy hearing Indigenous content by this Saulteaux Dene woman, my Patreon account is Native Calgarian, where you can pledge and support. Thank you, previous donors, for showing your support. For those who cannot afford to give, I would love to hear from you at nativeyyc@gmail.com, where you can send in your comments or questions. Also, giving a review helps whatever medium you're listening from. I have a YouTube channel that you can go and subscribe. Go to nativecalgarian.com for the latest podcasts and pin posts on social media. And remember to always share the things that you learn to your network. Oki, naganago, meko cheche stakom aki, nara, dago, dekots nagotene, siku saradi. My name is Red Thunder Woman. My married English name is Michelle Robinson, and I use they, them pronouns. My Dene lineage roots me in the land of the Great Bear Lake Tribe in Treaty 11 in Delaney. I'm a native to Turtle Island, and my Dene nation is uninvited to this area of Clinchotine, Indahe, and Saulteaux Dene, meaning many big dog town, named after the Calgary Stampede. I was born in Calgary, or in Blackfoot, Mohkinstsis, is Michelle Elliott, an English name that has afforded me privilege in an English colonial world. Acknowledging proximity to whiteness is important, because the darker the skin, the more racism a person experiences in colonial spaces. My late great-grandfather is Milo Beewol from Delaney. His daughter, Alice, is my now late granny. My mother and I are Northern Slavey Dene, or Saulteaux Dene. But my Indian Act imposed status card by the Canadian government says Yellowknives Dene. Through my father, I am a daughter of the Mayflower and a daughter of the American Revolution, while having a Canadian Indian Act imposed status card, which is a colonial construct by Canadian policies meant to divide Indigenous peoples' inherent rights. Indigenous Two-Spirit, or the Indigenous 2S LGBTQ community, and Indigenous women are at the bottom of the Canadian socio-economic ladder because of colonial trauma, imposed poverty, racism, gendered violence, and land theft. I'm not a social worker, nor an elder, nor do I speak on behalf of all Indigenous peoples. I just share my journey as a Dene mom navigating this colonial, misogynistic, racist, ableist world in 2025. Think of all of this today, and I hope we honor the many Indigenous lives lost for the so-called country named Canada. I hope all folks see their role in and importance of stopping harm as a citizen, see your role in reconciliation as a treaty partner. Land Back is a movement that could save the planet from climate change created by colonialism, but it would be part of a treaty partnership, meaningful reconciliation, honoring global initiatives like the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. As a former drafter, I'd love to teach you more, so you'll have to go to nativecalgarian.com to learn more if you want to have me more one-on-one. So today I'm lucky enough to have a guest. Would you like to introduce yourself in your way?
Absolutely. Thank you, Michelle. And you have such a way with words. It's quite beautiful just watching you speak, just to let you know. So my name is Brittany. I sometimes go by Brit or B. My pronouns are they and them, however. Oh my God, I don't know what to say. Sorry.
That's enough. That's great. I'm on like so glad that we reached each other. We met on TikTok because we were talking about disability and Alberta and the problems that we're seeing. I just recently released Aish in Alberta with my friend Danielle English, and we talked a bit about some of the legislation that's coming down, well, the changes, I guess, in Aish more than anything. And I think one of the biggest points of feedback I got from a lot of folks who consider themselves fiscal conservatives, like we're talking about 77,000 people that are going to have to spend hours now with doctors to reassess and go through new paperwork and pay out of pocket for all of these new pieces of paper in order to basically establish that they're still, disabled people. And for any fiscal conservative, obviously that is ridiculous for anyone who cares about that. But just not to mention how this will likely kill some people, because once you start filtering people out and people have massive barriers to be able to access a doctor, to be able to, you know, go through the process again and again and again. And Daniel made a one heck of a point that I have to reopen all the trauma that I was once told I would never have to do again. So when you start talking about how ableist this new policy is for people with disabilities, it's just ridiculous. So you wanted to, like, you're trying to raise awareness of this up in Edmonton.
Mhm. So, Sitting for Equity actually started from a previous protest. It was specifically regarding age and the changeover to ADAP. And we also did bring in a little bit of other issues like elderly seniors benefit and the prescription costs like increasing a bit. So we did talk about that. But regarding age, I'm on age myself, so I am disabled. Um, and it's been one heck of a journey. This last year, I only just got it within this last year. So realizing that it's at realizing that right now it's at stake, like all the information I just sent out there is almost it's almost sending me, if that makes sense, into just, oh my God, this is like so stressful. But then I decided to take all my energy from that protest. And then I realized there's so much more going on other than Aish. But Aish is like the big thing that we're fighting for. One of our big demands is we need to, how do I say it? We need to help our disabled communities. And like with the protest, we have 5 communities that we're talking about. So that's our disabled community, immigrant community, elderly community, 2S LGBTQ community, and our indigenous community. And all those ones are really like are really being, I can't talk. Let me think. Okay, these communities are really being targeted right now, and the effects are going to be harmful, and they are just so harmful even now, even before they put it in, they're just harmful because the mental capacity of it all is so much.
It,
Like
it really is.
yeah.
Yep. I am. So last year we got diagnosed with ADHD, my daughter and I, and we're trying to get the autism one going as well. And, it's a lot trying to get referrals, trying to get different doctors, trying to get, and then all of them have new software that you have to go through that get
Gosh.
confirmations via text, via phone, via email. And if you don't press every single one of them, then it seems to me that they're like, oh, well, we didn't know whether you were going to come. Like, I'm like, oh my God, how many confirmations do you guys need? So it's so frustrating because you're just trying to get to see doctors and it becomes such a struggle just trying to get in and being on wait lists. I had a procedure done yesterday, and originally it was supposed to go to an OBGYN, and they said, no, no, that's a skin thing. So then I had to get a new doctor who was willing to give me a referral to a dermatologist. And I found, so my husband broke his nose 20 years ago, and we found that because we didn't pay the extra for cosmetic surgery, they botched his whole nose. And with me, I feel like because I didn't pay extra for other skin stuff, that they
Mhm.
just did the bare minimum. So I get frustrated because I'm like, everyone talks about how privatization should be a thing. And it's like, no, it should never be a thing because the moment you start privatizing, which nose jobs were 20 years ago, and he got in a quad accident at work. And so anyway, it becomes this slippery slope, as people like to use that terminology, towards if you don't pay a little extra, then you get like shit work. So I hate this. There's a piece of me that's always like, I wish we could move to Europe, as a political refugee, as natives, because it's just the reason why we are not well is literally over intergenerational imposed poverty by the Canadian government. And they refuse
Mhm.
to take responsibility for that. They refuse to see their role in, you know, keeping us below the poverty level for intergenerational, how it is we are so sick after experiments at Indian residential schools and the Indian
Mhm.
hospitals. Like, I could go on and on about why it is that we are unwell and why it is the average Indigenous woman is only going to live to 68 in Alberta.
Mhm.
And I get tired of Canadians and their weaponized incompetence of like, oh my God, that's it first, instead of like policy changes and investment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of that, yeah. Oh my God, I lost my story. But going back to age a little bit, I'm going to talk a little bit about that if that's okay.
Yes.
I am actually diagnosed with combined ADHD, so I have both types of ADHD, and I also have an autism diagnosis. So I was lucky in that I found a organization that did assessments, but I did have to pay out of pocket, and that was so pricey. I think I paid around $3,000. And after the fact, I knew I was autistic before I did it. Like I was like, this is just confirmation. And now that I did it after, it's been a few years, about three. I'm like, I don't know if it was well worth the the diagnosis. It does help a little bit, but I still get doctors and people not believe in my diagnosis, even though I have this 30-page long report. Like my actual family doctor doesn't believe it, but I also supplement my family doctor with Alberta Virtual Indigenous Care Clinic. So I
Yeah.
do utilize them a lot. Yeah.
Same for the same reason. They're non-Indigenous, my family doctor, whereas the Alberta Indigenous Virtual Care Clinic, they have Indigenous people. Now, the only struggles I've had with that clinic are non-Indigenous people. So it sucks because it's like I would love to, and the same thing, we have a down here in Calgary something called the Elbow River Healing Lodge, and ironically, I did get discriminated against by an Indigenous person. And I was like, what? So, yeah, I'm just, it's so hard because we're all different on our colonization, like, struggles.
Yeah.
So I can't even be mad at them. And then the woman of color who discriminated against me through the Alberta Indigenous Virtual Care Clinic, she's
Yeah.
non-Indigenous. So even though she was Asian, I'm
Mhm.
like, really? You're gonna talk to your Indigenous clients like that? So I talked about being trauma informed, and she wrote up a horrible write up in her medical notes, and there's no recourse for that. Like, I don't get to say I think she was a terribly, ill-suited person to be talking to Indigenous people.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man, that's rough.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry that happened.
Yeah, well, that happens. Like, and you just come across people that are committed to being hateful. There's not much you can do about that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, which just sucks. Like, I don't understand why healthcare is set up in such a way that you don't have more advocates. Like, I'm a big believer in the treaty right to health, and the
Yeah.
Indigenous Collective put together a wonderful report. I've talked about it numerous times on this podcast, and like in it, it talks about the socioeconomic factors of causing related issues, and yet the average family doctor doesn't know. Like they live in a different reality, right? Where their kids go to private schools, and if they struggle in math, they're kicked out of a private school, and then so they just live in a different reality than we do. And
Oh yeah, that's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Mhm.
So anyway, yeah, I really just was hoping to talk a little bit about the upcoming events that you have that you felt very strongly to have a sit in.
Yeah. Um, so this idea came in from I was looking at so many different types of protests. I didn't know what I wanted to do. This is actually only my second protest. So I'm very excited about it though. We have a lot of volunteers and people willing to help. So things are moving. We're moving along. So it did come from my original protest, but this one is more community based. We are inviting every community out because not only is it affecting our five key communities, once our five key communities are uplifted and like these problems are alleviated, then the rest of our community can, reap these benefits of it. But yeah, but right now it's we just started this last month, so we're just getting the gears going, but like we're going so fast right now. I'm pretty excited. We're gonna start putting up our posters and stuff in Edmonton, and one thing we were actually talking about was having protests in Calgary and here in Grand Prairie, but I don't know if that's going to be same day or a different day. I have
Sure.
not decided. Yeah.
We have the Reconciliation Action Group here, and we have our meeting at noon, actually, so just after this podcast. And so we were talking about how we were going to assist you in any way we can and do one here in McDougall because, it's really important. And I think the disability community is very, excited about it. We have another one that's going to be happening here at McDougall in September. So this one that you're doing in October, we'll be able to raise awareness at the September one for folks. So that's our plan so far until you give us a different direction.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's really awesome. Our next, I do think we're going to have a different protest. Oh, I don't know though. Can I ask your thoughts about it? What do you think of having it on a different day or the same day?
Oh, it doesn't matter. I think whatever you have capacity for. So, for example, if you're going to be leading both the Edmonton and the Grand Prairie one, then yeah, you may want to do it on different dates just so that that way, you can be at
Yeah.
both. And it's hard because a lot of people say, "Oh my God, how do I help?" And it's like, well, you got to start showing up at these rallies. You got to, you know, connect with the organizers and such. And no, like I just wanted to put it in my Facebook page. That's like my capacity. And it's like, okay, well, if that's your capacity, then just do that. But that
Yeah.
bigger picture is that the more people who actually help you, then the more you can do. And that's
Yeah,
yeah, that
exactly.
becomes the issue where a lot of people are, in solidarity, but they don't want to actually help. So,
hmm
and I
Um,
go ahead.
oh, we are hoping to tap into people's compassion and community because I feel our sort of everyone's lives has stopped being in community and we're very individualistic. So I'm hoping to really tap into that community. Um, because I know people are compassionate. I know people care. I know people are worried, and I think there's a lot of confirmation bias, like, oh, well, it won't happen because, this is Canada. But I think people are realizing now, kind of like things are going down, things are happening at like a rapid pace. So I feel like we do have the momentum that it can possibly be like a very big turnout. We just need to get on the ground and start posting our posters and putting our flyers everywhere and all that good stuff.
Hmm. Well, and if you're in Edmonton, hopefully some MLAs will show up, especially with the NDP, to kind of raise awareness to it. I hope.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
one thing. I wanted to invite them, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I'll probably invite them. See,
Yeah,
like
I
actually
would.
send them an invitation. Yeah.
Yeah, I would for sure. Just in order to get it going. It's hard because a lot of these folks they only are there to be anti UCP, but that's all why I'm there. So,
Yeah, which is
I'm
good.
okay, we're solidarity today.
Yeah, true.
Right on. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you'd like to add?
Let me just think. Yeah. Sitting for Equity is really a passion project, and it comes from love and it comes from understanding that not everyone's going to understand where everyone's coming from, but they can understand that their fellow human is going through something. And that's what I'm really hoping for. And with this sitting, I'm hoping that we'll get the numbers and people can see people being affected or at least put some faces to it. Maybe the person's not going to be directly affected, but maybe a family member is or a friend. And that's really what I'm hoping for, honestly. And I'm very hopeful. I'm so hopeful about it.
Right on. Well, just a
Yeah.
reminder to my listeners, 1 in 4 people will have a permanent disability, and really, we're all temporarily able-bodied. So, even myself believing I was able-bodied all this time when actually, I was struggling, and I just assumed that was, hey, thanks, parents, thanks for the complex PTSD from childhood, but it was actually something that was diagnosable. And unfortunately, like my survival skills were so rampant, my hair is completely gray now, and I gotta work harder at saying no and knowing what I can do. But that's why I have created the Reconciliation Action Group in the hopes that well-meaning folks who have actually done the work of reading the 94 calls to action, the 231 calls to justice, and understanding on DRIP will show up and actually do the work now, and as they should be, and
Yeah.
you and I should be focusing on healing, really. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the hope, but we'll see. So, yeah, any other thoughts that you want to add about the sit-in that's coming up? Do you want to maybe give details about the possible poster, what it'll look like?
Yeah, I created a poster, but we have several posters being made. Right now we have a gold, like it's gold yellow, black font, and it just lays out everything we're doing. So Sitting for Equity, it's going to be on October 28th. It starts at 8 a.m. Protest, but we're going to go inside around 9 for they're doing what is it called? A session. So we're going to go inside and sitting. I'm not sure if we're going to be in the gallery yet because there's very strict rules about being in the gallery. So we'll see. But then the outside protest is gonna continue until noon. I don't expect everyone to come inside. We'll see how that works out, but it's gonna be good. And what else does it say in our poster? Really, it is about our 5 key communities. I don't want people to forget about those communities because they are very important. But I do want the community to come out for themselves as well because things are not great for the average Albertan right now.
No,
Yeah.
it's pretty
So,
bad.
and yeah, and that's what the poster says. Is this fight for us, fight for you, and also fight for everybody because in the end, everyone's lives would be a lot better.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming today, Britt, and telling us all about what you're doing. And just know here in Calgary, the Reconciliation Action Group will happily do the same in solidarity. Yeah, because travel is hard in Alberta for, my out of Alberta listeners. We talk a lot about how far is Edmonton? It's about, I don't know, 3 hours away going at
Yeah.
110 kilometers an hour, so we, we
Yeah.
we talk like that here in Alberta because that's we have huge distances, and even from Grand Prairie to Alberta or to Edmonton is a massive, was that 5 hours?
Yeah, this last July we did a day trip for the protest. So that was it was a long day, but it was a good day.
Yeah, exactly. So like we all have to, try to do what we can in our area and let it be in solidarity. So thank you so much for coming on, Brittany. You're welcome back anytime. I can't wait to um, you know, see what more you do in the future because of what you're doing now. And I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate you trying to advocate for everybody and not just not just a small group of people. And I do wish all people seen. I talk about this a lot with the 231 calls to justice, that if women's groups and queer groups could understand that those 231 calls to justice literally help everyone and not just Indigenous people, that, we would have more equity, and yet they still don't advocate for these calls to justice. So one
Yeah.
day I hope other communities will see that the Indigenous community is advocating for everyone. So I appreciate all you're doing.
Thank you so much, Michelle, and I appreciate you inviting me on the podcast. I
Yes.
know it's a little short, and I hope that's okay.
Of course, of course. Actually, the
Sure.
opposite. My daughter tells me, "Mom, you go on way too much. You really need to cut your podcast shorter." So, yeah, you're exactly the cup of tea that I know my daughter will listen to.
Perfect.
Thanks so
Um,
much, Brittany.
Thank you too. Have a good day.
You too. Oh, it was wonderful getting to know Brittany. I'm so happy. Our next book club is Jody Wilson Rainbow's latest book, so I hope you're going to join us. And I'm going to give a shout out again to the November book club, Arc of the Medicine Line by Tony Aries. It's a non-Indigenous person who talks about the border between Canada and the U.S., how it was made. And but my Blackfoot elder told me everyone should be reading this book, so I've been talking about it all year because of this ridiculous conversation we're having with our American siblings. As Indigenous people, we don't see the border quite the same, but we are. Again, if you are a person who wants to do action, if you've learned about Indigenous issues and understand your role as a treaty partner, Reconciliation Action Group is here in Calgary, but I recommend that people do this work all the time. So whether it's in your work, whether it's at your school, whether it's at your nonprofit, whether it's at your sports club, that your group of people, that your inner circle are working on this. Maybe it's a book club you start with your sister. We have the Settlers Book Club as well down here. So these are opportunities for folks to learn more about Indigenous issues that you were purposely not taught in your K to 12 education system. And if you do have post-secondary, with the deepest respect, they didn't teach you there on purpose as well. And in fact, some of the educators that are considered Indigenous friendlies that I've come across are actually some of the most harmful people that I have ever met in my entire existence. So the post-secondary education system is still not there teaching the truth about Indigenous people. And because of the oppression dynamics, a lot of Indigenous people are very much suppressed at their work. They don't want to lose their jobs telling you the truth. So they just smile and nod and go along with you just so that they can keep their job. And that is terrible. And our statistics through the Calgary Foundation have proven that BIPOC, QT BIPOC, Indigenous women, we are not being hired in an equitable manner, and we are definitely being let go in an unequal amount as well. So think about that and think about the policies that you work within and ask yourself, how can we change that to make it a little better for everybody? Anyway, Masi show to my ancestors, to my granny, my mom, what strength looks like through their example. I want to thank my dad for teaching me to be strong and blunt, my stepmom for showing me what a proud culture is through her Austrian roots. But I really want to say thank you to my husband. He not just produces and edits the show, he is my husband, childhood friend, father of our child, support down my journey of the Red Road. He has witnessed decades of sexism, racism, now ableism. And to our child, we are blessed to learn from you daily. We are honored you chose us. You give me daily accountability to be a better and stronger person. I hope my daughter and my family will be proud of us in the future, talking about these present day issues in a way that makes sense. Anyway, I honor Blackfoot as the elders and members have been so kind to me on my Red Road journey. I want to say thank you to Elder Red Crane. He taught me how to pronounce my name in Blackfoot. Leonard Kenny taught me how to pronounce it in Satu Dene. My humblest apologies to all of the language keepers as I learn proper pronunciation. My Patreon account is Native Calgarian, where you can pledge and support. Thank you, previous donors, for showing your support. If you value listening or watching and can afford to give, thank you. For those who cannot afford to give, I would love to hear from you at nativeyyc@gmail.com, where you can send in your comments or questions. I have a YouTube channel that you can go and subscribe, and you can go to nativecalgarian.com for the latest podcasts. So the last thing I like to do is just a quick touch grass moment. I wanted to let the world know that unfortunately the leaves are turning yellow. And I don't know if you all remember the KFC commercial where a leaf was on the ground and the woman started screaming, but that's pretty much how I'm feeling right now. And today is a really smoky day here in Calgary. Honestly, we didn't get that much of it this year. And I said, to my husband, it's not fair because we, out of all people, deserve it for all of the mining companies that we have here nationally and internationally that are causing climate change. But here we are. So, anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. But we have a little kitten across the street that we were given water to, and I'm hoping that it's going to find a good home. So I will keep you updated. And I always end every single podcast with those Calgary rabbits. You're lucky I'm not tradish. My beautiful cousin would say, "Are you be in my dish?" Thank you, folks, for listening.